You're listening to Eat, Play, Sex with Dr. Cat, the place to uplevel that sexy life of yours, with expert talk on sex, love, and nutrition.
So what you're describing there is, and we've talked about this in past episodes, this concept of power, this power play between you and this other person. Do you have to have specific qualities to be able to maintain those rules, or how does somebody enter into those rules and like keep them? Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Let me muse on what I would say about that. I mean, initially what's coming up is it's just like mileage. It's just practice. So if you're not accustomed to being the person who's leading in a scene or in any type of play or bedroom experience, then it might be, you might not jump into like a full hour long, like, okay, I'm going to guide you through this whole ups and downs and climax moments. It might just be like looking over at your partner across the room at a party and like giving them a sexy wink, or walking by and say like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do so many wonderfully naughty things to you later. Like it can just be those little moments, and those add up over time. So I guess building that confidence would be like going to the gym and building that muscle. So like little moments. Does that?
It does. Help? Okay. Yeah. So here, when you're taking on the role of more of a dominating role, one of more that's constructing the experience, then you're establishing the power differential through little ways, not in the bedroom, before the bedroom.
I think so. Yeah. I think it's helpful to pre-pave, and then it gets your partner. Yeah. Gets your partner in the right mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. What if you have trouble? Because for many people, they don't know, power, I guess we have an egalitarian, culture where like, be equal, be, the same or whatever, but that doesn't necessarily contribute to our polarity or to the sexual energy or charge between you. So how would you have a dialogue with a person first? Like how, or if you feel the person isn't falling into the opposing role, I don't know, that feels like an art to me.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely art. I think that a conversation can be helpful if it's brand new and you're introducing it into your dynamic, because then you're not catching your partner off guard, right?
Yeah.
If you're used to, being more quiet, or I don't want to say passive necessarily, but if you're used to being guided in the experience and now you want to guide, that might be something worth talking about beforehand.
Yeah. And especially if that's not your traditional sense, is it possible for people to be able to step into a role that's not their typical? So like say they are more passive or more quiet or more just not active in leading. Can they access that?
I think so. And I think an idea that just popped in is, I think when I first started, I would do what I thought would be fun to have done for me. So I would look at my partner and be like, ooh, I think it would be really sexy if, they bit my neck. And then I could say, okay, I know that feeling when my partner bites my neck. Now I want to do that to create that feeling for them. So having a frame of reference actually on the bottom side, the person who's receiving it, can be really helpful, because then the sensations that you're wanting to create and the emotions that you're wanting to bring up in your person.
Yeah. So it gives you a frame of reference, and adding to what you said earlier, negotiation and consent allows more freedom in that space to be able to try new things. Yeah. This sounds like a lot of work, Lila. I'm just thinking of everybody out there who's like, girl, I ain't got the time. I don't have the energy. I come home, I'm exhausted. The last thing I'm going to do is come up with a play scene or come up with a thing. And I personally see it as something that is exciting and energizing me more than anything else. But how would you, is there a way that you would explain it to people who's this is exhausting, I ain't got the time?
Definitely. And it can be, right? You can like plan these really elaborate scenes, but it can also be a little bit more gentle than that. Like, I think acts of service are a great place to dip your toe in if you're wanting to be in that dominant role. So thinking about what's something that my partner could do for me that would add to my pleasure and kind of create that power dynamic. So it might be something like, babe, I'd really love you to give me a foot rub, like a massage, and I'll sit on the couch and you can sit on the floor and just gaze up at me adoringly and rub my feet. So that can be a gentle way of introducing a power dynamic in kind of that worship context.
Ooh, interesting. Worship. Okay. What other, you got me thinking of all these different styles of BDSM.
Mhm.
You got the sensuality, you got the worship, you got yeah, acts of service. What else? What other, when you think of the spectrum of how these dynamics can look, what are some of those characteristics?
Oh my
Anything?
gosh. Yeah. I was like, it can literally be anything. Yeah. Any type of dynamic that you want to play with. I tend more towards like the sensual and kind of goddessy worship. But it can turn into like strict and demanding if you're wanting more of the like classical dominatrix look and energy. Um, there can be power dynamics around, like mommy and daddy play, or any type of role play where there's a power dynamic, maybe teacher and student if you're doing a role play.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the possibilities are endless. It's kind of up to what you were saying earlier, that eroticism and your level of play.
Yeah, yeah.
Lovers, thank you again for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, hit subscribe and head over to eatplaysex.com to connect with me and grab my sexy guides. Because my goal here is to get you to eat, play, and sex better so you can improve your sex life, which will improve every aspect of your life. Until next time, keep it sexy.